All right, summer school students, welcome back. We're jumping straight into the companion document today.
That's right. No long intros needed. We're getting right to the good stuff.
Exactly. Our mission is a deep dive into some really key vocabulary from this companion.
And we're not just listing definitions, are we?
No way. We want to unpack the core meaning, sure, but also look at the different forms. Verb, noun, adjective, adverb.
See how they work together? Because the way the companion uses these words and the forms it highlights tells us a lot.
It really does. It's like a window into its perspective.
So where should we start? Maybe with words about action, getting things moving.
Good idea. Let's look at words describing actions, processes, how things start or change. What does the companion lead with?
Okay, first up is initiate. It's listed as a verb.
Initiate, meaning to introduce someone into a group, often with a ceremony.
Yeah, that's the core idea. But look at the other forms the companion gives us.
Yeah. Initiation, that's the noun for the process itself.
Right, an initiator, the person doing the initiating.
And it even lists initiative as an adjective here, though we often use it as a noun too, right? Like taking the initiative.
Exactly. So putting initiate in all its forms right at the start. What do you think that suggests about the companion's focus?
Well, it makes me think it's about beginnings. Starting something new, maybe, a project, joining a group.
Could be. It definitely emphasizes the start.
Okay. And building on that, what's next? How about facilitate?
Yes, facilitate. Another verb. This one means making a process or activity easier.
So you initiate, then you facilitate. Help it along.
Sort of smooth the path, yeah.
Or
And the related nouns listed are facilitation
the process of making it easier.
and facilitator, the person who helps.
Interesting pairing. Initiate, then facilitate. Suggest maybe guided processes.
Could be. Or maybe how people help others navigate something.
And you often don't facilitate alone, which brings us to collaborate.
Yes. A key verb, meaning working together.
And the companion really expands on this one, doesn't it?
It does. We get collaboration, the noun for the joint effort.
The teamwork itself.
Then collaborator, the noun for your partner in the work.
Okay.
Then the adjective, collaborative, like a collaborative project.
And even the adverb, collaboratively. Doing something together.
Wow, that's quite a focus on working together. Really suggests group effort is central to whatever the companion is discussing.
Definitely feels that way. Okay, shifting gears slightly. What about gaining things? Like knowledge.
Right. The companion lists acquire as a verb.
To gain knowledge or learn a skill.
Exactly. And the noun form given is acquisition.
The act of getting something. You could acquire knowledge or acquire resources.
Good point. So maybe themes of learning or resource management?
Could be. And often, before you acquire, you have to, look for it.
Which leads us to seek, another verb highlighted.
Meaning to try to achieve or get something.
And the companion gives us the noun form, seeker, the person who's looking.
So there's an intentionality there, purposeful effort towards a goal.
Adds that layer, yeah, and connecting, seeking with sharing, maybe.
How about transmit?
Good one. Listed as a verb. To send or pass something along from one person or place to another.
Like transmitting information or values.
Could be either. The companion lists transmission, the noun for the act or the thing sent.
Okay.
And transmitter, the noun for the sender. So communication, passing things on, it fits.
Especially if you link it back to initiating into a group or collaborating, transmitting ideas within that context.
Makes sense. Now here's a word with a lot of related forms in the companion.
Necessitate.
Necessitate. As a verb, it means to make something necessary, right? Like a problem necessitates a change.
Exactly. And look at the variations the companion includes.
Wow. Okay, we have necessary and unnecessary opposing adjectives.
Right.
Then necessarily and unnecessarily the opposing adverbs. And the noun necessity, something that's required.
The sheer number of forms listed here suggests the companion really digs into situations where actions are required, maybe constraints or obligations. It highlights that whole concept of requirement, doesn't it? But sometimes those requirements or problems are too much.
Which might be why the companion includes abandon, listed as a verb.
Meaning to stop doing something because of problems, to give up on it.
And the noun form is abandonment. It adds a touch of realism, maybe, that things don't always succeed.
So the companion might cover the whole life cycle from initiating to maybe having to abandon ship.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And to describe things that are still going, despite challenges perhaps.
We have ongoing. The companion lists this as an adjective.
Meaning continuing or still developing, an ongoing project.
Right. So this whole first group, initiate, facilitate, collaborate, acquire, seek, transmit, necessitate, abandon, ongoing.
What's the overall feel?
It feels very active, like it's outlining a process and endeavor, focusing on the actions, the changes, the challenges from start to, well, maybe not finish, but at least ongoing status.
That's a very dynamic tone. Okay, shall we move to the next group?
Yeah.
The companion seems to shift focus a bit.
Yeah, it looks like words about understanding and evaluating things. How does this connect?
Well, the first part was about doing. This seems to be about making sense of what you're doing or the situation.
Okay, like understanding your progress. Where does it start?
It begins with acknowledge, listed as a verb, meaning to recognize the importance or quality of something.
Ah, so recognizing contributions or facts.
Could be. And the noun form is acknowledgement, spelled either way, British or American English.
Got it. And to acknowledge something, you often need to look at different parts of it.
Which leads perfectly to aspect. The companion lists this as a noun.
One part of a bigger situation, idea, or plan.
Exactly. Suggests the companion wants you to consider things from multiple viewpoints, not just one angle.
And maybe look at those aspects really thoroughly.
Seems likely, because next is extensively, an adverb.
Meaning to a large degree or in detail.
Right. And the adjective form is extensive. So thoroughness seems valued.
And if you investigate extensively, maybe things become clear.
Perhaps they become evident, listed as an adjective.
Easy to see or understand. Obvious.
And the noun form, naturally, is evidence.
So the companion values clear findings, backed by evidence. Makes sense.
And evidence often helps you indicate something.
Ah, okay. As a verb, indicate means to show that something exists or is likely true.
Right. And the companion gives as indication, the noun for a sign.
Like an indication of progress?
An indicator, the noun for something that shows a status, like a performance indicator.
It's about reading the signs, drawing conclusions based on what's evident, essential for evaluating.
Absolutely. And speaking of evaluating, the companion includes measure.
This can be a verb, right? To judge the importance or value of something.
Yes. And look how many forms are listed here. It's quite a lot.
Okay, let's see. Measure itself can also be a noun, like taking measures or standard of measure.
Then measurement, the noun for the result you get.
And then opposing adjectives. Measurable.
And immeasurable, things you can and can't quantify.
And the adverbs to match. Measurably and immeasurably.
Wow. The companion really seems to emphasize assessment, judging value, quantifying things where possible.
It's a major focus. You don't just act, you measure the results.
And fundamental to measuring and judging is
reasoning.
Exactly. Listed as a noun, the process of thinking carefully to make a judgment.
And again, lots of related forms. Reason itself as a noun for a cause, or as a verb for thinking logically.
Then the opposing adjectives, reasonable and unreasonable.
And the adverbs, reasonably and unreasonably.
This strong focus on reasoning suggests the companion values logical thought processes, critical thinking.
Definitely pushing for careful analysis, but thinking isn't always just logic, is it?
Good point. And the companion seems to acknowledge that with intuitive.
An adjective based on feeling, not just facts.
Right. And the related forms are intuition, the noun,
Like having good intuition.
and intuitively, the adverb, doing something based on that feeling.
Interesting. So the companion includes both reasoning and intuitive. What does that pairing suggest?
Maybe it's about balance, balancing logic with that gut feeling and how you understand things or make decisions.
Could be. It acknowledges different ways of knowing.
So this whole second group, acknowledge, aspect, extensively, evident, indicate, measure, reasoning, intuitive aligns. It really deepens things.
Yeah, it's not just about doing, it's about understanding, evaluating carefully, using logic and evidence.
But maybe also trusting your intuition. Adds a layer of reflection and judgment.
Okay, where does the companion take us next?
It seems to move towards qualities, relationships, interactions. The more human elements, perhaps.
Ah, okay. How people are or how they connect. What kicks this section off?
With dedicating. A verb.
Meaning to give all your attention and effort to one thing. To be committed.
Exactly. And the companion provides dedication, the noun.
The quality of being dedicated.
Dedicated, the adjective describing the person or effort.
A dedicated team member.
And dedicatedly, the adverb, how you do it. The inclusion suggests commitment is highly valued.
Makes sense. And following that.
Distinction. Listed as a noun. A clear difference between similar things.
Making distinctions And the related forms.
Adjectives distinctive and distinct, and adverbs distinctively and distinctly.
So the companion might be about making clear separations between ideas, roles, maybe.
Suggests clarity and differentiation are important.
And making clear distinctions, maybe that leads to improvement.
Perhaps. Because next is enhancement, a noun.
An increase or improvement in quality or value.
Right, and the verb is enhance, to improve something.
And the adjective enhanced, describing the improved thing, an enhanced version.
The focus here clearly points towards valuing progress and improvement.
Definitely. And related to quality, especially of people or systems.
We have integrity,
A noun.
meaning being honest and strong about your beliefs, having moral uprightness.
Yes. And the companion also lists the adjective integral.
Meaning essential or fundamental, like integrity is integral to trust. Putting those two together, integrity and integral, strongly implies that honesty and soundness are foundational in the companion's view. Core principles.
Very important. Now, interactions aren't always smooth. What about disagreement?
Ah, yes. The companion includes opponent, a noun, someone you're competing against or arguing with.
And look at all the related forms here. This is another extensive list.
It is. We have adjectives. Opposite, opposed, opposing.
Okay.
The noun opposition.
Right. Being in opposition.
And the verb oppose, to be against something.
Wow. Listing all of that really suggests that dealing with conflict, disagreement, different views, it's a significant theme in the companion.
It acknowledges that challenge and opposing forces are part of the landscape it describes.
But it's not all conflict. What about positive interactions?
Good point. We also have praise. The companion lists this as both a noun
Expressing approval or admiration.
and a verb to actually express that approval.
So acknowledging good work or qualities is also part of the picture. Affirmation.
Covers both sides, conflict and praise. And speaking of navigating differences, tolerance.
Listed as a noun. Willingness to allow others their beliefs or actions without criticism.
And again, look at the range of forms provided.
Okay. Tolerate. The verb.
Opposing adjectives, tolerant and intolerant.
Right. And also tolerable, meaning something you can endure even if you don't like it.
And then the adverbs, tolerantly, intolerantly, and tolerably.
That's a really detailed look at tolerance and its limits. Suggests navigating differences, maybe managing difficult people or situations is crucial.
It explores that whole spectrum, from active acceptance to just barely enduring something. High value placed on managing diversity of views or behaviors.
And finally, in this group,
Unique, an adjective,
meaning one of a kind, special.
and the adverb is uniquely. The companion's inclusion here might point towards individual strengths or specific non-standard situations.
So this whole group, dedicate, distinction, enhancement, integrity, opponent, praise, tolerance, unique, it adds that human dimension.
Exactly. Qualities, interactions, handling conflict and difference, recognizing uniqueness. It adds depth to the actions and evaluations we saw earlier.
Rounds out the picture nicely. Okay, just a few left, relating to outcomes or finality.
Right. The end game, so to speak. First is suffice.
A verb, meaning to be enough.
Yes. And like necessitate, it has a lot of related forms focusing on enoughness.
Let's see. Opposing adjectives. Sufficient and insufficient.
Right. Enough or not enough.
Opposing adverbs. Sufficiently and insufficiently. And the noun, sufficiency. The state of having enough.
Again, the detail emphasizes this concept. Meeting requirements, having adequate resources seems critical for reaching the desired outcome in the companion's world.
Makes sense. You need sufficient resources or effort, and then...
Ultimately, an adverb.
Meaning finally, after everything else. In the end.
Yes, and the related adjective is ultimate, final or best.
This clearly signals the companion is concerned with the final result, the conclusion, the bottom line.
Points right towards the end result. But sometimes that result isn't certain.
Which brings us to unlikely. Listed as an adverb here. That's a bit unusual. Usually it's an adjective.
It is typically an adjective, meaning not likely. The companion notes its opposition to the adjective likely. Maybe the listing as an adverb here is a quirk, or meant to emphasize the manner in which something is improbable.
Interesting. Either way, including unlikely acknowledges probability. That success isn't guaranteed.
Exactly. It admits the possibility of failure or low probability.
So these last few words suffice. Ultimately, unlikely, they really focus on the end state. Was it enough? What was the final outcome? How likely was it?
Wraps it up by considering the conclusion and its probability.
Okay. So, summer school students, we've taken this tour through the companion's vocabulary. We looked at the words, the verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs.
But more than just definitions, we've seen how the choice and grouping of these words starts to paint a picture of the companion itself.
Right. It seems to be about purposeful action, initiating, collaborating, acquiring.
And careful evaluation, acknowledging, measuring, reasoning.
Plus, navigating interactions and qualities, integrity, tolerance, dealing with opposition.
And finally, focusing on outcome sufficiency, the ultimate result, likelihood.
It feels practical, analytical, interpersonal, and definitely results-oriented.
The vocabulary itself tells a story about the companion's priorities.
So, thinking about this whole collection, initiate, reason, integrity, tolerance, ultimately, what does the companion's emphasis on these specific words in all their forms suggest about how you should approach its subject matter?
That's the real takeaway, isn't it? It seems to be asking for more than just passive reading.
Yeah, it feels like an invitation to actively engage, to analyze, to interact thoughtfully, and, well, to strive for those sufficient ultimate outcomes with integrity. What do you think?